So I just recorded a podcast episode, and then I decided that I wanted to record a different one this week, just because this is something that it's near and dear to my heart. And we're going to talk about trauma. Oh, there's a girl. We're talking about trauma. I was listening to a trauma-informed podcast episode for speech language pathology considerations, right up my alley. I have my somatic SLP podcast, and I'll probably post clips of that there. For me, I have briefly mentioned a little bit about complex PTSD, and I'm not going to spill it all. I've been through some stuff, as many people have. For me, I think that a lot of my trauma did manifest in physical issues. I think part of the reason why my autoimmune disease came about was literally because I was in fight or flight mode. And I think that being an individual who is so highly sensitive, and more topics to come because I am listening to books and reading books on that topic. Being a highly sensitive person, I'm definitely more predisposed to sucking up the energies within me. And even though that might sound woo-woo, there is what we call co-regulation. And when we co-regulate, it's because we're picking up on the body movements, posture, breathing, even any type of physical manifestation of anxiety on another person. Our body is using neuroreception to pick up on that. We're like, oh my god, he's nervous, so my heart rate's going up because he's nervous. It's as if you guys are both primed to get ready to jump and fight if need be. You pick up on cues. And this is your body. It's an innate part of your body. When we experience trauma, it is usually due to an issue with a connection, whether that be with a person repeatedly or one time. Our body then does not trust another individual, whether that be based off that individual experience, or if it does manifest into something like PTSD or complex PTSD, CPTSD. And some states that I will talk about are the freeze response. I don't know why I start with that one. The fight response, your body getting ready to get up and fight if need be. The flight response, your body getting ready to leave, and what that might look like is you looking away or not wanting to respond, wanting to get out of that conversation. Or freeze. And so this might literally be you not being able to respond, some disassociation, depression. And those three stages are all within your sympathetic nervous system. That is the autonomic nervous system, your fight or flight mode. This is the one that causes your body to get ready to engage. And that does wear and tear to your body. The long-term effects I could probably make a whole podcast about. It does wear down in your heart. It affects your digestion because your body is in the state where it cannot physically digest. That's in the parasympathetic, the rest and digest, the calm down. And that's not to say that we should never be in the parasympathetic or the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic. Both make up for a healthy nervous system. It's just when we have experienced so much trauma that's going to put us in a position where we are so easily activating that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response. And so I can go on about the neuroscience behind that. Where I want to kind of draw the line is that trauma is healed when you are with a healthy individual, when you are engaged in a safe relationship. I'll say it again. Trauma is healed when you are in a safe relationship. I think that's something that I've really come to realize, finally being in a stable relationship and not seeking a partner who takes advantage for how kind I am. Or a partner that actually sees me for my worth, that isn't an avoidant attachment style individual. And just knowing that you are respected, that they are listening to you. I think when you first start engaging with someone who is in a safe relationship or that is a part of the safe relationship, you might be like, what the hell is going on? And that make you want to close off because you're not used to it. Why should you be if you have been experiencing these patterns throughout your whole life that you're like, oh my god, how can I ever trust someone? Your body's going to be in fight or flight. When you're with a safe individual, if you're opening up to them, you're going to see that they're still able to be grounded and secure in themselves. And the fact that they're able to slow down their rate of speech, that they're still composed, will help you see that that person is actually genuinely there for you, and that they are able to be calm despite anything that you're saying. It's kind of like a safe response. You're gonna pick up on how grounded they are. This doesn't happen overnight. I'm gonna do a whole episode on my SLP podcast, Somatic SLP, just on trauma-informed care. And I think really just building trust, building that rapport with anyone is crucial. Trauma can be with safe relationships can be with a parent, partner, a good friend, your sibling, grandparents, with a teacher, a counselor. It could be with a speech therapist. It could be with so many different individuals. And the way to go about someone who you suspect has been through trauma is to recognize that what they feel may be in part because of something they've experienced. It's something that has been triggered, and they don't necessarily have access to that memory. So it is trauma, and what they're experiencing, that triggering event, is from right here and now. It's not the actual event. And so sometimes people might get stuck in a defensive state, but it's defensive since that's how they deal with safety. That's how they've always known. And so that fight, flight, or freeze responses, those are safe for that individual. There's another quote that I really like, and it was, trauma replaces patterns of connection with patterns of protection. Instead of your body actively seeking outward, it turns and thinks, I need to protect myself and keep myself safe because I'm the only one that could do so. We don't know what's out there. Something that I've been in the shoes of doing, and what I've seen other people do, is just appreciate those differences, appreciate that that's where they are in the moment. Like, I know when I get anxious, it's like that weird phase where you're like, I know we are feeling big emotions. I know that we are not happy. I recognize that we are not coming from a good place right now. And then just like being there, whether that be like holding someone, if that is an appropriate response for them, or finding out what really works for them. We want to appreciate those protective responses for what they are and reduce the blame for that person feeling that way. Because that's when grief comes in, and embarrassment. I am bawling my eyes out right now, and I'm embarrassed because of that. But that's your body doing a fight, flight, or freeze response. When people meet you where you are, and you're like, I recognize that you have been through some shit. That's where this is coming from. That's where you're able to recognize and grow and heal. And so again, something I want to reiterate or mention if I hadn't, is that these responses can last a short period of time, a trigger, but they can also be more chronic or complex. You might be living in that space and not even know it. And sometimes if you are neurodivergent, whether that be you have ADHD or autism, you actually move through those states more quickly. It depends on their person and their own nervous system. I want to find the study that she referenced in there, but the thing is, we take traumatic experiences and we can reprocess them into more positive or neutral beliefs. That's what therapy is for. We can also channel that through healthy relationships and find that if you are continuing to expose yourself, expose your feelings, get triggered in front of someone, and then find that they are there for you. Psychiatry has been great for this. Therapy's been great for this. It's a good experience to get those feelings out and see that that is just the encounter you're experiencing right now rather than what just happened. Again, the last thing I want to talk about is how medical trauma is the thing. I just saw a couple different doctors, and the thing is, when you are triggered about the situation going into it, and then you are basically gaslit into believing that your symptoms aren't real, or your doctor is asking some pressing questions and you are gaining more anxiety, you are nervous, you don't know the answer, or they're scolding you for not taking medication that you're supposed to be on and whatnot. Granted, why am I on a PPI at 26? But the thing is, that's why it's so important to have a clinician that you really can communicate with, because if someone's going to really push you down when you are already in a vulnerable state, when you are in a fight, flight, freeze response, that's only going to compound and lead to CPTSD and make it harder for you to really open up what we call, what is it called? The window of, it's gonna be at the tip of my tongue, I'm gonna look it up. The window of tolerance. It's really going to allow that window of tolerance to be open when you are with a safe person, but when you are not, that thing's gonna slam shut. And again, that window of tolerance might be very small because you've experienced trauma for some time. But if you are with a safe person or you are responding to a safe environment, then we slowly start to widen that. And that's why it's so important too to just seek healthy relationships. It's easier said than done. And I know this was a brief episode. I did really want to talk about it and just to bring light to it, because I know I'm not the only one that has experienced this. And I know that as I am healing from trauma, I've really leaned into my partner, my boyfriends. I don't know why. I really leaned into my boyfriend and my psychiatrist, and therapy in general, I think, has been a really positive place to grow and allow that window of tolerance to open. Sometimes I might have to dig a little into some more repressed thoughts, but at the end of the day, it really helps me let go of that weight that I'm carrying. There are so many other things I could talk about in terms of mediating stress in the moment, mediating that fight or flight response, mediating just trying to expand that window of tolerance, but I'm going to leave it at this. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you next week. All right, subscribe. Woo! Have a great rest of your week, guys.